Let's jump right in. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a text that is highly relatable, fiercely funny, and, honestly, shockingly practical. It's called The Apprentice's Guide to Pretending You Know What You're Doing. Think of it as your personal survival manual for navigating that terrifying, yet completely universal sensation of corporate freefall. If you've ever stared blankly at a spreadsheet and severely questioned your own life choices, well, you're absolutely in the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. The entire philosophy of our source material is anchored by this one brilliant quote: "I am 3 raccoons in a trench coat, and so can you." It perfectly captures that baseline professional anxiety we all kind of share, right? That secret fear that we're really just a chaotic stack of mammals pretending to be a unified, competent employee. The text takes this deadpan, satirical approach to validate that exact feeling. It establishes right up front that, hey, everyone is faking it. The only real difference is that some people just have way better camouflage. So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to walk through this instructional toolkit for surviving corporate life. We'll start with Welcome to the Chasm, then Mastering Physical Camouflage, the notebook prop, verbal judo and redirects, buying time to panic, and finally we'll wrap up with the larval stage. Welcome to the Chasm. Day 1, existential dread. You know that sheer existential dread of day 1? Where you find yourself completely alone with your imposter syndrome, just staring at a wireless mouse you don't even know how to connect? Well, the authors define that terrifying feeling as the Competence Chasm. It's this vast empty space between the skills your job title implies you have and the skills you actually possess without triggering a small psychological crisis. And the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that everyone is falling into this chasm. I mean, literally everyone. From the entry-level analyst sweating in the bathroom stall, all the way up to the CEO in the corner office, everyone's in it. The CEO just happens to have better lighting. So, the crucial point is understanding the moral framework of this survival guide. The authors draw a very hard, absolute line between lying and faking it. Look, lying is claiming you have extensive experience with blockchain integration when you've literally never heard of it. That is just straight up fraud. Faking it, on the other hand, that's saying, let me review our approach and circle back by Friday. It buys you time so you can secretly learn what blockchain is before that meeting. We are actively avoiding fraud here. Instead, we're practicing rapid professional development, just, with much better optics. Moving on to Section 2, Mastering Physical Camouflage, How to Fall with Style. Now, even when your brain is screaming that you don't belong in a room, your body can actually be trained to lie beautifully. The most valuable physical tool you have for this biomechanical illusion is your 11-pound head. The text breaks down a crucial rule of 3 for nodding. First up, you have the slow, pensive nod, or SPN. This is perfect for masking utter confusion when a boss is speaking. Just 2 to 3 slow oscillations. Next is the rapid, rhythmic nod, which implies you're actively tracking complex data in group meetings. There's this great field report in the text about Marcus, a junior developer who survived his daily tech stand-ups purely by deploying the rapid, rhythmic nod for 15 minutes straight. And finally, the nuclear option for incomprehensible jargon, the nod and jot. But hey, it's not just your head, it's the geometry of how you sit. As the manual puts it, the power sit relies on one rule. Confidence is angular, and fear is curved. Think about it. When we're terrified, our primitive fear response makes us want to curl up into a tiny ball to hide from predators. To project competence, you have to consciously override this. You need to claim the full real estate of the furniture. Shoulders back, spine straight, feet flat. Your body will physically trick your colleagues into thinking you know exactly what's going on. Of course, all that internal terror has to go somewhere, right? And that leads to what the authors call anxiety leaks. You absolutely must seal these leaks immediately if you want to maintain the illusion. Do not, under any circumstances, bounce your leg under the table like it's full of sewing machine kinetic energy. Stop touching your neck or playing with your hair to self-soothe. And definitely avoid the turtleneck, where your head sinks down into your shoulders, and the collapsed chest, where you look like you're literally bracing for physical impact. Remember, stay angular. All right, Section 3, the notebook prop, writing with authority. So, the ultimate physical prop in this whole theater of corporate deception is your notebook. And this brilliantly illustrates the nod and jot technique in action. When someone drops a phrase so complex that your brain just completely blue screens, you simply execute these 4 steps. 1, initiate a standard nod. 2, break eye contact and look at your notebook. 3, write literally anything. And 4, look back up with a slight, confident smile. The text shares this hilarious field report about Priya, an account manager who survived a brutal client call about omni-channel convergence optimization by simply writing the word "what" 47 times in her notebook. To her boss sitting next to her, she looked like a deeply dedicated professional taking meticulous notes. Section 4. Verbal judo and redirects. Implied knowledge. Now we're moving from physical camouflage to auditory illusions. And we face a terrifying, universally relatable scenario here. Picture this. You're in a meeting, all eyes turn to you, and someone asks a question filled with acronyms you have literally never heard before in your life. The flight response kicks in hard. So, how do you answer a question when you have absolutely no idea what the words even mean? Enter the ultimate conversational escape hatch, the strategic redirect. You have to treat their question with immense Harvard Business Review level gravity. But instead of answering the specific tactical details, which, let's be honest, you don't know, you validate the person asking, and then you shift the scope entirely. You lean in and say something like, "That is the tactical question, absolutely, but strategically, we really need to be looking at the broader context." Boom, you've just pivoted away from a tactical detail you don't understand straight to a broad strategic vision you can actually talk about. It instantly makes you look like a visionary leader. To execute these redirects flawlessly, you have to exploit the corporate glossary. We're talking about semantic clouds, words that sound incredibly impressive but actually mean absolutely nothing specific. If you throw around words like bandwidth, synergy, alignment, and leverage, it allows you to sound super informed without ever making a falsifiable claim. Because honestly, there's no way anyone can fact-check alignment. Moving to Section 5, buying time to panic, the temporal buffer. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the revelation that time, not knowledge, is your absolute most valuable resource when it comes to professional deception. Using those 4 magic words, "let me circle back," literally converts your immediate freezing panic into a temporal buffer. It ensures you never, ever give a rushed or inaccurate answer on the spot. Plus, it actually paints you as this highly conscientious worker who insists on getting the details exactly right. But here's the catch. A temporal buffer only works if you actually spend that bought time learning how to do your job. The text maps this timeline out perfectly by returning to Priya's story. On day 1, when her manager asked for an ROI projection she didn't understand, she hit them with the classic, "let me circle back by Friday." Cue internal panic. But then, on days 2 and 3, she frantically Googled how to calculate ROI and built a model. Day 4, she reviewed it with a peer. And by day 5, she delivered a thorough masterclass report. The temporal buffer essentially creates a pocket of private learning hidden safely inside your public professional life. Finally, Section 6, the larval stage, from faking to competence. This is where we pivot away from cynical survival tactics and look at some genuine, actual growth. The authors really want to reassure you that imposter syndrome isn't a weakness. It's actually a gift. It acts like an internal immune system that prevents you from becoming confidently wrong. The camouflage, the intense nodding, the strategic redirects, none of these are permanent. They're just a necessary bridge. Faking it is simply the larval stage of competence. You're just a professional caterpillar, building a cocoon of confident nods so that your actual skills have the time to develop underneath. Because the truth is, if you use these survival tactics properly, one day you're going to sit in a meeting, open your mouth to deploy a strategic redirect, and actual factual knowledge is going to fall out. You solved the problem. You became competent. Sure, you might still feel like 3 raccoons stacked in a trench coat, but you'll be 3 raccoons with tenure. So, armed with your power sit and your brand new temporal buffer, what is your first step going to be tomorrow to start falling with style?